They say being the strong one is virtue, that holding everything together in silence is maturity. But no one tells you the price of that. Because while you're holding the entire house from collapsing, someone learns they can push just a little more and more until you become the structure and stop being a person. This is the kind of emotional abuse that doesn't shout, but shapes entire lives. Maybe you recognize the scene. The scapegoat daughter, always responsible, always available, always good. The family calls it love. The body calls it emotional exhaustion. And when you try to set emotional boundaries, here comes the guilt, the performance, the well-rehearsed gaslighting family. It seems wrong to choose yourself when in fact that's the first act of self-respect. What changes everything is not the explosive confrontation, it's the silent revenge of someone who awakens. An emotional awakening that helps you see the invisible script, break old patterns, and start breaking family cycles for real. Today, you'll understand why choosing yourself doesn't destroy families. It just exposes which ones were never fair. Since she was young, she became the strong one. She gave up her room, gave up space, gave up her voice, and still smiled because she had learned that being the people pleaser of the house temporarily bought peace. They called her responsible, mature, the good daughter, as if that were a medal. Be careful with the compliments that demand silence. In this type of gaslighting family, love comes with a receipt, and the bill grows into emotional exhaustion. She realized too late that being always the strong one wasn't a choice, it was a role. When someone fell, she was called. When someone made a mistake, she fixed it. She became the elegant scapegoat daughter, secure, efficient, invisible. I was the extinguisher of the house. They only remembered me when something caught fire. This isn't affection. It's emotional abuse with a veneer of virtue. Keeping the peace turned into losing a piece of herself. The family calls it unity. The body calls it exhaustion. A simple test. For 1 week, say, "I'll think about it," before saying yes. Watch the family guilt kick in. It's a sign that emotional boundaries are missing. This awakening starts a journey into self-respect, choosing yourself, and breaking family cycles, and sets the stage for understanding why the balance never worked on the same side. The repetition was almost choreographed. The sisters switched jobs, relationships, and life phases, always in transition. And with every transition came a smooth request wrapped in drama and family guilt. The people pleaser fell into autopilot. Helping today seemed to prevent chaos tomorrow. This is the trick of the gaslighting family. The examples piled up like dust no one cleans. Borrowed money that would be paid back next month, bills paid just this once, favors that became obligations. She wasn't a sister, she was the backup system. When the request always comes with urgency, someone's outsourcing their own responsibility. This is how emotional exhaustion builds in someone who's always the strong one. The analogy hit hard. I wasn't a sister, I was a bank with guilt instead of a password. But when self-respect started to ask for space, something creaked, and that creaking set the stage for change. When he appeared, there were no fireworks. There was just good silence. He asked what she wanted and, believe it or not, waited for the answer. He didn't come with plans or expectations inherited from the family. For someone raised in emotional abuse disguised as care, this was a gentle shock. The small moments revealed the truth. He noticed when she fell silent in the middle of a sentence. "You don't have to carry this alone," he said, dismantling years of gaslighting family in a single phrase. The emotional awakening began there, quietly. Healthy relationships reveal how much you've shrunk to fit into other spaces. For the first time, there were emotional boundaries without guilt, self-respect without defense, choosing yourself without explanation. And when that happens, a question lingers. If this is possible here, why wouldn't it be everywhere else in life?
The gift from his parents wasn't about showing off, it was about meaning. That apartment represented independence, security, the first foundation given without emotional strings attached. For someone who grew up under family guilt, receiving something without owing anything felt almost suspicious. But it was real, and it was hers. To me, that apartment wasn't a roof, it was a border between the past of emotional abuse and a future with clear emotional boundaries. The scapegoat daughter was finally starting to exist outside of her role. Her mother's discomfort came fast, like a trained radar. Too many questions, too late interest. Will it stay in the family? Your sister could use some time. When you grow, those who benefited from your shrinking feel strange, and that strangeness was about to be exposed. The sweet compliments came with hidden thorns. Her mother spoke loudly, making sure the audience heard. The sister played her victim role. The body recognized the game before the mind. Something was coming. "We're passing the apartment," the rehearsed smile. "Relax, it's just an apartment." The always the strong one role was called on in public. Inside, heat in her face, cold hands, ears ringing. It was like watching someone take the key to my life and hand it over like it was a souvenir. Emotional abuse with a drink in hand. And the emotional awakening became impossible to ignore. She stepped away to breathe. The phone buzzed. Messages, prints, combinations, an open group by accident. The line hit. She never says no in public. It wasn't love, it was strategy. Gaslighting family with an internal manual. I thought it was family, it was administration. The scapegoat daughter stopped blaming herself. When you see the script, you can't act the same anymore. She returned calm, not frantic, no long explanations. In a family accustomed to gaslighting, silence becomes rebellion. Who decided this? Because I didn't decide. This apartment isn't available. Contract, rules, consequences. Silent revenge was in choosing self-respect, choosing yourself, and breaking family cycles right in front of them. When he said, "This ends today," it wasn't salvation, it was confirmation. If this story hit somewhere inside, don't ignore it. See how the turning point wasn't shouting, it was setting limits. Where are you still paying emotional bills that aren't yours? Where is family guilt still louder than self-respect? What helps are keeping cycles of emotional abuse alive? Identifying that is the first step toward real emotional awakening, the one that breaks patterns. If this content brought you clarity, apply it today. A boundary, a no, a choice. And if you want to continue learning how to get out of this place with maturity and silent revenge, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Less guilt, more awareness, a life that is finally yours.